All right, let's do it.
Feeling fun, feeling flirty.
This feels, good? You know what this feels like?
What?
This feels like a 60 Minutes, or like an Oprah interview, like a sit down, tell all.
Who's Oprah?
Ready for a close up? We do have a story to share today.
We have a really heartwarming story. Tissues, please.
Cut. I'm not ready.
All right. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. This is going to be a fun game of getting to know the two girls. Everyone sent in some really fun questions and excited to talk about ourselves.
I mean, what else do we love to do? You guys asked, we're answering.
Your wishes are command. So
let's get it started.
All right. Now we're ready. Now we're going. So first question, how did we meet?
How did we
meet cute?
The classic, a tale as old as time.
A tale as old as time, enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers.
That's really it. I mean, so technically we became really good friends through work. Right. When I was clearing out my phone last night, I found the text that you sent to me, and you said, I sent your resume, and she said, oh, she went to Quinnipiac, she's definitely getting the job. And I just feel like that was that was the first time we were ever texting, because I didn't even have your number.
Right.
We met through a friend who was my best friend in high school, and Nicole's college roommate, and so we, knew each other. I didn't like her that much, because
she was jealous.
I was jealous. I was an insecure little jealous bitch. But I was jealous because she was stealing my friend. But then I met Nicole and we started working together, and
the rest is history. We worked at a really horrible company, and that bonded us, that we were miserable. And then Kate and her boyfriend, fiance Nick, moved in next door to me and my boyfriend at the time, and that we just really spent every waking moment together.
Spent every single day together.
Yeah.
Lived literally next door to each other. Oh my God. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, but it was really rose-colored glasses the best of times.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how we met, and now, obviously, we're thick as thieves. Soulmates forever and always.
Next question is, what do we do for a living? Because some people might be surprised to know that this is not what we do for a living. It should be obvious because we're not that good at it. So if we were able to do this for a living, we'd probably be better. So I do PR. We met at a marketing agency.
Right. So
we were both in the marketing world. I went to school for public relations, and that's what I've been doing ever since I graduated. So right now I am in PR for a company that owns a lot of lifestyle wellness products. So that's what I do from 9 to 5.
And my 9 to 5 is I'm a community manager for a ticketing company. I'm not going to say which one, but basically I help our clients create programming that helps them connect with one another, much like how I do with Two Girls, One Formula, and create programming that helps people connect in a really positive way with one another. It's what I love to do, and so I'm really grateful to also be able to do it full-time as well as with TGIF.
So super full-time.
Super full-time.
Your entire life, you're never not communitying.
You're never not PRing, though. So
you're so right.
That's why it works with TGIF, is because it's our brains never turn it off, and we're so just true. Actually good at what we do.
Yeah, we are.
We are.
Okay, how do we get into Formula One?
Another tale as old as time. My ex-boyfriend was into it. He watched all of the videos, all of the content. I didn't know what the sport was at the time, but I said, okay, this must be my life now. And I saw a couple interviews with Daniel Ricciardo, and I said, that's my man. I'm going to root for him. And, the rest was history, and eventually pulled Kate and Nick into the shenanigans. And even though I'm no longer with that partner, Kate, Nick, and I are still super fans, obviously, of Formula One. And yeah, that's kind of the story.
One might say the only good thing
One
to
could
come
say
from him was the love of Formula One.
Some might say that.
I would say that.
I would also say
I would say it. And then, so Nick and I started getting into Formula One as a result of hanging out with Nicole, and then Drive to Survive came out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just kind of like sealed the deal.
Yeah.
So it was like, we were into it, and then Drive to Survive like really solidified that was what we were going to do with our lives and our weekends and our free time. How do we come up with the idea for the podcast and for TG1F? We're going to say it every time, another tale as old as time. A manic episode.
Yeah, we basically were working from home one day. Kate was over at my apartment, and she turns to me. I have a very vivid memory of this.
It was like, I feel like I'm still there.
I'm sitting at the kitchen table. Kate's getting something from the fridge. She turns to me and says, "Oh my God, how funny would it be if we started a blog called Two Girls One Formula?" And I said, "Done, buying the domain right now." And we did. And then we sat down later in the day and like created a whole briefing document on and planned out content and like what we wanted to do with it, and then never did anything.
Didn't touch it for at least 3 months.
Yeah. And so then we were like, okay, maybe we're gonna take this a little more seriously. Started doing some themed brunches around it. Started an Instagram account. We initially wanted to be anonymous. We wanted to be Girl 1 and Girl 2 because we felt like women were not taken seriously in the community, and so we were like, well, if people don't know what we look like, then like it's easier for us to kind of engage. And we tried to create memes and content that like catered towards men, and
it was all so bad.
It was so bad.
It was also just very generic. Like we weren't being creative with it. We were just doing things that we'd seen, or like we were like doing very basic things like Trivia Tuesdays and like and they were fun, but like they weren't us.
Right.
Like they weren't us because we weren't being ourselves. We were being anonymous people. And so then finally, once we decided to like do it and put our faces out there and connect ourselves and like have it be us, was when it really like picked up steam, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, so we were like, we're full sending it. Lick the stamp and send it, as Daniel likes to say. We did that, and now we are here today.
And then in terms of the podcast, 3 people asked us to do a podcast, and we said,
you got it.
You're on. And we bought these little mics for like $30 on Amazon, and that's it. That's all she wrote. We had a podcast, and here we are.
And now 67 episodes later, you guys still like to hear us talk, so thank you.
Allegedly. It's really just Nick on 1,500 different accounts listening to the podcast every week. All right. My favorite driver shouldn't come as a surprise. Charles Leclerc. I'm obsessed with him. I can't help it. He's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love him so much.
Yeah, if you've ever taken a peek at the Instagram,
you know.
You listened to one episode of the podcast, looked at our TikTok, went to our Twitter account. If you've seen any of our socials, you would know that Kate's obsessed with Charles Leclerc.
And you're interesting right now.
Yeah, my favorite driver was Daniel Ricciardo. Obviously, will always be the love of my life. However, in terms of like current drivers, I'm definitely Carlos Gurley now.
Team Ferrari.
Yeah, Team Ferrari over here.
Ferrari forever. That's us now.
Pain
I
and
guess.
Suffering. Is
Pain
all
and
we
suffering.
know.
We love to be.
I don't want to like be a fan of a winner, and that's boring.
So boring.
So boring.
Has our F1 fandom changed over time? I think it has, because I think when we first were into it, I mean, at the very, very beginning, it was mostly just like we were just consuming content. Like we were just doing, like I feel like when we, especially when TG1F really started, like we were just watching like the Twitch quartet, and like we were very much like social focused,
Yeah.
and like just cared about like what they were doing on social media, what they were doing in their off time. There was a ton of off time because COVID. So it was very much like us doing that. Whereas I think over the years, because, you know, we have built this community with people of varying levels of fandom and like varying interests in the sport, we've learned a lot. And like I am so much more invested in like the technical aspects of the sport than I was when I started. And I think that has a lot to do with just the amount of time that I've spent being a fan, but also how much I've learned from the people in our community who are now like taking upon themselves to like teach other people like everything that they know. And we have Lou who does our F1 Fact Fridays, which I did for a little bit, and then I was like, I'm just not the right person to do this because I don't know everything. And it was fun for me to learn, but I'd rather have someone who's smarter than me and more knowledgeable doing that. So I feel like that's how like my fandom has changed over time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I look even I think about when we were doing the initial kind of Two Girls ideas, we were like, we could be like the girlfriend's guide to Formula One, where we're like, oh, if your boyfriend's really into it, like here's what you need to know to be able to like keep up in conversation. And it wasn't necessarily that we weren't thinking like, oh, we want to know everything. We're like, no, we're not going to know the technical aspects. Like we don't really care that much. But like, as we've kind of become so immersed in this fandom, we have really picked up, I think, every aspect. Obviously, I don't know every single technical thing, but I think I can speak to a lot of the technical aspects, and I never really imagined that I would be able to do so.
Never, ever would have thought I would know anything about, like detailed about the cars. I thought I would really be focusing on the looks for a long time.
So,
all right. One sugar daddy. Who are you taking? And the options are Gunther, Zach, or Christian.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know what Christian is, one of the first podcast episodes, Kate and I thought Christian had 3 brothers and they all had G names except for him. And so we came up with, we were like, his name is Christian, only to circle back 2 episodes later and fact check and say that was actually incorrect. And he did not have 2 brothers with G names. We just made that up. And that has been a theme for the entirety of the podcast, is that sometimes we make things up and you guys will have to fact check.
And we don't even know. We don't even know that we're making it up. We just do it. Like, it's like at that point where we're like, it's almost, was that when you like false memories?
Yeah.
When you
the
like,
Mandela effect.
Yeah, like all the time. We don't even know that we're making things up. We just make it up.
So I think in terms of sugar daddy, I think I would want Gunther.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think Gunther would be the most entertaining. I think Christian, I wouldn't even care to spend time with him enough to want his money.
But here's my thought. I think I might actually go Christian. Because if I'm thinking about it in terms of being a sugar daddy, Gunther is on a budget all the time.
No, but this is a hypothetical situation in which they are sugar daddy. They have enough money.
I know, but Gunther is hardwired to. He's probably gonna ask Jean for permission to like buy me a Prada bag.
Hold on, I gotta take a call from Jean.
Jean, she wants Prada. But Christian, I just feel like doesn't care.
That's
and
fair.
like would just kind of like, I wouldn't have, like, I feel like I could be so annoying to him that he would just throw money at the problem. Like he'd like give me money to shut up.
In that terms, like Zach just paid Danny
$20
million to get out of his site. So like, I'll take that.
Maybe it's Zach. I don't know. I just don't think it would be Gunther. I think Gunther.
I think I would have the most fun with Gunther in terms of like being a sugar baby, but I don't think, you make a good point.
Yeah, he's on a budget.
Yeah.
I'm not balling on a budget if I'm a sugar baby.
No.
And that's for damn sure. Okay, let's see. Who do you think is most likely to have a secret love child in the paddock? A secret love child.
Who's shady?
Checo.
I was gonna say Checo.
Pierre, actually. I can also see Pierre just being like a secret dad.
A little slutty.
Yeah.
Accidentally, I can see it being like a Louis Tomlinson type situation.
Yeah,
where
absolutely. That's a one night
he
stand.
fucks around and finds out, you know?
Yeah, he fucked around. And then he really did find out. You're so right. I agree with that. Okay. What are some other things that we are fangirls of? I feel like we had a couple of podcast episodes where we talked about this, but Nicole, what are you a fangirl of outside of F1?
I mean, almost everything in my life I'm a fangirl of. You know this, Kate. We're very similar in this, in that we have like addictive personalities and we become very addicted to things very quickly.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a big music gal.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of how we bonded too, is like just being obsessed with bands and like knowing everything about them and like following them. So, you know, Jonas Brothers was really my first fangirl thing. Obviously, I'm still obsessed with them. Would still marry one of them if they got down on their knees today. But I'm trying to think, like, F1 has become such a big part of my life that it's like really hard for me to like focus and be obsessive to this point.
Yeah. I think
about
just
anything
maybe
else.
like historically, like what were some of your other like big things that you were a fan of? Like you have Jonas Brothers.
One Direction, Twilight.
Yeah.
Big Twilight girl.
I would say my first big, like I was a fangirl of NSYNC. That's like the first thing I can think of. Harry Potter was huge for me, still is my whole life. Green Day. I was like such a little emo kid in 5th grade, like was obsessed with Green Day, wore ties to school, like it was a big.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
No, I like, yeah, I wore ties to school, and they had to be red because
For
Billy Joe Armstrong always wore a red
Okay.
tie. Yeah, so that, it was just a phase, Mom. It wasn't. And then, yeah, just like music from there. I mean, I had like, I just feel like I went through like phases of like, I would have like the band
Right.
that was like the only thing that mattered to me. I liked other music, but there was like one way. Like it went Green Day, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, Fall Out Boy, One Direction popped in there. Then F1. Like, it's really been like
1975.
1975.
Don't forget.
I can't forget.
We're still in it.
I mean,
Yeah.
That's like not even looking into my past.
That's like still current. Yeah.
Okay, this is fun. I'm skipping a question really quick.
Okay, that's fine.
This is fun because
I can't read them anyway, so.
We have done this on our Instagram a lot. It was like one of the first things we did was we cast the grid. If like they were making a movie about F1, who would we cast as drivers? But someone asked us if there was a movie about TG1F, who would play us?
TGIF the movie, who's playing us?
And we've talked about this.
I mean, obviously we've talked about this.
It's like funny because like Lewis is like, I've never thought about it. Like I don't know, and then I'm like, I've obviously thought about this, and I don't even have a reason to think about this. There's like a few different options I feel like for myself. Like we've talked about this. We've gone back and forth. Vanessa Hudgens, love her.
Yeah.
Feel like that could be a good vibe. I also really like Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Like she has, I just feel like
I love her.
I like am obsessed with her, and so like I feel like her vibe I would love. Like I aspire to have her vibe. So if like her vibe was playing me, like I would be so happy.
Yeah, a dream come true.
Yeah, I mean if this was like a movie that was gonna be made many years ago about like my life, Soleil Moonfry, Punky Brewster is my doppelganger actually.
Okay.
But only when she was little, being Punky Brewster. So like that would have been it. But she's old now, so
Okay.
probably not. And we don't look alike anymore.
Okay.
But just so you know.
Now I do. I think for me, Sydney Sweeney.
Okay, I love
her. One time someone did tell me that I reminded her of Sydney Sweeney, and I took that compliment to my absolute heart, and I said that's the best compliment anyone could have ever given me. And then I think follow up, we've talked about this, Lily Reinhart. We are we do share blood. So at this
Yeah.
point, I think it would just be easy for her to play me because we are mildly related.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Lily, if you're watching this, would love for you to play me in a movie of my life.
Vanessa, Haley, if you're watching. They're not. Okay. So, what is the most unhinged thing that you've ever done while fangirling?
One time I was trying to meet the Jonas Brothers, and I think it was a lot easier to be a fangirl in like the mid to late 2000s, like I guess in the teens. And because people, like the early days of Twitter, you could find any information about your favorite celebrity, like where they were gonna be at any time.
Yeah.
And so
Like Tumblr, like it was like Twitter, Tumblr.
Yeah.
Were like
there was like
scary.
accounts where you could find what flight information people were taking. Like it was crazy. And so we used to always know when the Jonas Brothers were in town and like where they were staying at what hotels. We would figure it out through trial and error. We would ask the doormen, we'd be like, are the Jonas Brothers staying here? A lot of them would be like, I'm not allowed to say. And we'd be like, wink, wink, yes or no. We'd figure it out, we've learned. And so one of the most unhinged things that I did was the Jonas Brothers always stayed at the Peninsula Hotel in Chicago when they stayed there. And so for my 16th birthday, I had my mom get me a room at the Peninsula Hotel so that I could have a key card so that when the Jonas Brothers came into town, because we learned that they wouldn't like kick you out of public places in like the hotel if you had just said that you were a guest and you just showed your key card. So I had a key card for this hotel.
Oh
and
my
so,
God.
And so then whenever the Jonas Brothers would come into town, we'd like stake out in the hotel lobby with this key card that I had secured. And while it didn't work for the Jonas Brothers, it did work, and I did meet Oprah once on accident. So it worked, but that was pretty unhinged of me.
Yeah. I can't even say... I don't have anything even remotely comparable.
And then one time I also almost got arrested for loitering at the Ritz-Carlton waiting for the Jonas Brothers as well. The hotel manager was like, if you do not get off this property right now, I'm calling the police. And I was like, I'm 15. Settle down.
I'm screaming. I don't have anything even remotely close to that. Like, I guess I just wasn't as, like, unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
I was more like a fan, like to myself.
Yeah.
Unhinged,
Okay.
like fangirl. Like I wasn't out there doing anything. It was just I was spiraling inside of my brain.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I used to write Jonas Brothers fanfic on MySpace back in the day too. So like I've done it all.
She's been in the depths of fangirling. Okay. Most memorable F1 moment. Most memorable F1 moment for me has to be us scanning our paddock passes to get into the paddock for the first time. Like walking up to the F1 paddock in Austin, scanning a pass and being let in.
Yeah.
That has to be the most memorable moment that I might ever have.
Yeah, that one, and also like when we did the grid walk on Friday.
Yeah.
And like we were sitting just drinking champagne out of a fucking to-go coffee cup on the Ferrari pit wall. Like I was just like, this is so silly.
Like how did we get
How
here?
did we get here?
How did we get here?
Or sitting in the press conferences.
Sitting in the press conferences, shut up. Yeah, just that whole weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, right? Like, that is clearly gonna be
That's
top.
gonna be it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a fun one. What's sluttier? Danny Rick's thigh tattoo or Pierre's backward hat? Danny Rick's thigh tattoo is sluttier.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Like, a thigh tat is slutty.
So slutty.
In the best way.
So slutty. Also, you guys may not know this, but we will die on the hill that Carlos is the creator of the backwards hat.
It's actually the Carlos effect. Carlos has been in F1 for much longer and was wearing backwards hats far before Pierre was. Put some respect on his name.
I love Carlos, and I think that Carlos looks way hotter in a backwards baseball hat.
Yeah, agreed.
Than Pierre.
I agree with that. You heard it here. Let's see. What's the hottest part on your favorite driver's body?
Like, are you a big...
Okay, it's Charles's little freckle. That's like right under his eye. I can't. I'm obsessed with it. Well, I love his eyes. You know that I like. I could go swimming. It's hot outside. Let me go swimming in your eyes. That's me about Charles. Like, I literally am obsessed with his eyes. I could stare into them all day. When I did see him in Austin, I actually couldn't make eye contact with him because I was like, I can't even look at him because I'll get kicked out. I'll be creepy. Like, I'll be like, I won't be able to stop staring. And so I think it's his eyes, but then I really love his one little freckle.
Yeah. For me, it's Danny's nose. I love a schnoz. I love a nose. I just like, it's my favorite thing about him.
I love a schnoz.
Him and his like
You do love a schnoz. If there's one thing about Nicole, if you have a schnoz, you have
hit me
luck
up
with Nicole.
And just like his radiant smile.
Yeah.
It's contagious. Dreamy.
I love them. I love them. Okay. If we could Freaky Friday with one of the wags, who would we choose?
I think I'm choosing Lily. I just think she's so cool and fun. And also, we've talked about this before, like, which couple would we want to be, like, a third in?
Yeah.
And I'm always choosing Alex and Lily.
I feel like... Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, mostly because, Nick, don't listen to this. I want to know what it feels like to be loved so deeply by Alex Albon. Like, he loves her so much that and he will always be a willing participant in her, like, fun TikToks and stuff. Nick won't let me get near him with a camera. Like... And he loves me in his own way, but I like want to know what it's like to feel loved like that from Alex Albon.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
also, I would maybe trade places with Issa.
Yeah, I want her life.
Yeah.
In general, I just want to be her for a
Would
day.
love to be cooked a hamburger by Carlos Sainz, to be honest. So.
And I would love to go on like a beach vacation with Carlos.
Yeah,
they're
Mallorca.
always on. Yeah, in Mallorca. Now I'm sad. So how do we, going back to like personal, not as much F1, how do we balance two girls, one formula with work? I like the follow-up question here, does work? No. About two girls, one formula. Yes, they do. I feel like it would be very sketchy if we didn't tell our jobs that we did this other thing on the side.
To be honest, I put this on my resume.
Me too.
And I talk about it in interviews, and that was one of the reasons why I got the job that I currently have today. So,
I mean, it definitely takes work to balance it because obviously a full-time job is a full-time job, and we have to like do our jobs.
Yep.
But two girls can also, without checks and balances, I guess, can pretty easily turn itself into a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's very easy for us to get sucked in and like want to do this all the time. So it's more just like making sure we have content planned out so that we are like during the work day, we are just like posting something really quickly. Like it's already planned out. We're not like taking time out of the workday to do that. Or if something's going on, we're just like doing stories really quickly, but then like scheduling out that like, okay, Mondays after work, we record the podcast because we need to edit it the next day and then it goes up on Thursday. So like, or however long it takes. So I think it's just like making sure we have a schedule and stick to it. And then also being open and honest with each other about like, if we need a break.
Right.
Like there's been times that Nicole has like gotten a new job and she's like, I'm busy for 2 weeks. Like I can't do this. And so like I'll take over for a little bit. And then, cause I know that if I'm going through something where I'm really stressed, I can be like, Nicole, I can't really do two girl stuff, and she'll take over. And like, I think that's one of the reasons we've lasted so long with it.
100%.
Is because it isn't just us. Like it's a partnership.
Yeah, exactly. And also like it's fun too with the community because so many people also like are sending us content for us to look
Yeah.
at, and like so not really everything is like on us all of the time, which is nice. So we're super grateful to have people who are like really engaged with us and kind of make sure we're on top of things as well. So it is definitely a community effort.
It really is. Top 3 icks. I think they just meant in general.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
rock climbing.
That's a good one.
I don't know what it is.
Pattern boxers.
Yeah, you.
Danny wears them and I hate them so much. It's like
I
really
know.
hard for me to get over because I hate that he wears patterned boxer briefs.
Yeah.
Like it's an ick for me. I'm like, grow up, you're 33. You don't need to be wearing underwear with ice cream cones on them anymore, okay?
Yeah. Another ick that I have.
Being a picky eater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Not being able to like seamlessly blend in with my friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like it's like an ick for me is if I feel like you're my shadow.
Yeah.
And if I feel like I can't leave you alone with people.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I'm just like be a person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why you're not like I don't know if I feel like I have to be entertaining the person, I can't do it. I'm like go. Like, that's how I knew I loved Nick, was I brought him around my family and family friends for the first time, and I almost had to remind him that he was there with me. Because he just didn't talk to me all day, because he was hanging out with everyone else, and I was like, wait, that's annoying, but also, like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I hate having to, like, be, like, a bridge between people.
Yeah.
And, like, just, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, not having an iPhone. Green text bubbles. Ick. I know I'm such a hypocrite for that because I was a Droid girl for so long.
Yeah, I think also for me, just like not having something that you're passionate about.
Yes. And being rude to service people.
Always.
That
feels like a given.
Yeah, but that's the biggest ick of all time.
I think rude just to anyone in general. Like being rude to people who don't deserve it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. How do we manage stress?
Great question. Not well. We're both in therapy.
Let me know if you find out a good way to manage stress.
I mean, I think because we have each other, we can trade that stress, and like we have someone to commiserate with, which is always easy.
We also do therapy with each other, which is really, really fun. Highly recommend if you have a close friend that like you're in therapy and you have a close friend who's also in therapy. It's really fun to then like after both of you guys have your sessions, you go on the phone together and you're like, what did you talk about in therapy today? And then you just like talk about it again because you've already normalized the conversation because you had it with someone already and you already have some like keys to like think about and talk about with it. But also I feel like for me it's nice because like my therapist Amanda is wonderful, but she's also like is supposed to be like a neutral person who doesn't actually really like know me in real life. But then I talk to you about the same things and I'm like, and you have the background of like everything that we've been through and like you know probably how I'm thinking about it, and so like you can give advice like not as like neutrally,
from
which
like
I think
a little
is like
bit
really
of a different
fun.
perspective. Yeah, and I think it also helps kind of just like when you're learning something and you're learning how to do something, you're supposed to put it into practice, and like I think talking about it again kind of like solidifies what you talked about in therapy, and it's like easier to remember.
Yeah,
the
and
things
it's someone
that you
else in your life that's like gonna hold you accountable for the growth that you're having.
Yeah.
I mean, and outside of therapy, I feel like the way I manage stress is I really have to like. I'm very much an all or nothing kind of person, which can really add on stress because I just like do everything and I don't want to not do things. I don't like saying no to things.
Same.
But like just trying to figure out like balance and like listening to my body and like doing things in moderation. Like I like to go to the gym, and so like that sometimes that really helps me with stress, and I'm like, I'm feeling really stressed, I should go to the gym, I'll feel better. But sometimes I'm like, I'm feeling the type of stress that I just need to like sit here and put on Law and Order SVU and like eat some mac and cheese or something, and like that's okay too. And I am working on this in therapy actually, because that's taking care of yourself in a different way. Yeah. That is also self-care, and that's healthy. We just have, I feel like in society, such an idea of like what's healthy, being like eating vegetables, going to the gym, going for walks, not eating sugar, not eating fats, like not like doing all these things that are like healthy by a societal standard. But it's also healthy to have a night out with your friends where you're drinking wine and like having fun. Like that's healthy in a different way. 100%. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. That's how I'm working on dealing with my stress.
Yeah, I would say similarly for me. I go on a walk, I go outside, I touch grass, as I like to say. Nothing is really that serious. I have a weighted blanket I love. I also really love nature documentaries. So when I'm really stressed, I put on some David Attenborough, sit under my weighted blanket, and just like zone out.
Just zen. Back to F1. All in moderation, right? What drivers are we most excited to see improve this season? If Charles doesn't get the world championship this year, I'll be very upset. I'm not hanging my hat on it too hard, but I'm really hoping to see not only like Charles, I think is wonderful, but I'm hoping to see Ferrari as a team improve. Yeah. And then I would really love to see Yuki improve this year, and like not that he's not good, but I want to see him like really step up, and I want him to get the respect that I know that he deserves. Yeah. Same. Personally.
I would say also for me, Zhou. Like, I think Zhou is really going to be able to prove himself this year, and I'm looking forward to.
We do love like a rookie. Yeah. Moving up out of the rookie stage. Exactly. And I would love to see Nico Hulkenberg get a podium this year, finally. Yeah. And K-Mag, I want K-Mag to do well again. I think
we really just want everyone to be happy and do well.
Those shirts that are like, I just hope everyone's having fun. Like, I just want everyone to do well. That's it. All right. Last question. What's the biggest dream for TG1F?
It's funny because the dream constantly changes, because I think if you had asked us 2 years ago,
this would be the dream.
Like what we've already accomplished would have been the dream. Like I think TG1F could end tomorrow. Not that I wanted to, nor will it, but like the fact that we have been in the paddock and we've got to go to races and we've built this global community of amazing women, and it's just kind of like, I think the long-term goal is to be in the sport long-term. Yeah. Right? Not be like a passing kind of moment. Yeah. And just figure out how to maintain this I don't want to say popularity, but like maintain
the platform.
The platform, especially for, as we say, the girls, the gays, and the theys, and like continue to make space in this fandom for our community specifically, and gain the respect that we deserve.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we were just in an article in The Cut by Maria Sherman, and it was called the Fangirlification of Formula One, and it was all about fangirls and Formula One, and it was like so cool that we were involved in it. And I think that for me, the goal for Two Girls is to create a community, and so like I want to be in the sport long enough to where like that's not even a story that has to be written, because people already know, and they're like, yeah, this is just like the mainstay of like, this is just another section of the fandom that is just there, and it's not like this novel thing or this thing that is like new and exciting. It's normal. It's just seen as like a standard way of being a fan.
Exactly. I agree.
And I mean, if we are one of the few people that get to do the grid walks every single Sunday, then like
yeah,
that's
I
a
mean,
dream.
God forbid we replace Martin Brundle as you know the grid walk. But that's a pipe dream for now.
That
Who knows? Ask us again in 2 years. Maybe we will have accomplished that.
Maybe
and
we'll have
to
done
come up
it.
with
Who
a new
knows?
one.
The best thing about dreams is they're always changing, and understanding and remembering that where you are right now was a dream at one point.
So true. I often have to sit back and remind myself how much work we've done here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like high-fiving. I hope that helps you guys get to know us a little bit better. We love to talk about ourselves, so if you ever have any other questions and you want a round 2, let us know.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the internet.
See you on the internet.